What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another Transformers third-party review, and today we're going to be taking a look at TW-01 Hegemon by Toy World is the name of the company. And if you haven't guessed, he is a third-party Megatron, and he is completely awesome from head to toe. This guy is great. Now, if you're like me, the first thing you noticed when you got him out of the package, or actually even just looked at him in the package, is he's got that little orange gun piece. Well, Toy World knows we hate it, so they just made it so it just pegs on in by a friction grip, and then you don't need it, and you can have Megatron without the gun. I do want to point out real quick, while we're close enough in, his face here could use a little bit of extra detailing. I added the black to the mouth there because it's just silver, and it leaves him with a really strange look. I also added some black under the eyes and tried to do the triangles the best I could. All you really have to do is just paint everything black and then scrape your extra black paint away with a toothpick or something, and it makes a big difference. And unfortunately, in my review space, the lights aren't set up to really let you see it very well, but man, does he have some awesome light piping there. I mean, when I just sit him downstairs, you would swear he's alive just by the way the red pipes through. I love red light piping. It is by far the best light piping out there. So, let me move the light back up again, and his eyes go dead. And we'll pull him back. I also put a Decepticon symbol there. I don't really like that one though, it looks a little skewed, so I might have to replace that. So, along with this back piece here, this is something that was on the toy but not on Megatron in the show. It just pegs on, and you can take it off if you prefer to have him without it. I don't really mind it because I do like the G1 nostalgia that it gives. G1 toy, I should say. Nostalgia that it gives. This whole trigger assembly can rotate however you want, which is important for later. Let's get on to the articulation. So each side has a little flap here that can lift up, and it allows his arm to be positioned about that far to the side, and that's on both sides here. Now this one is a little bit weaker because of the weight of the fusion cannon on here, so I actually opened it up and added a little bit of clear nail polish to it. That way I can actually have him lift his arm up and hold it. If you don't, it tends to just kind of flop right back down again. The elbows, both of them, bend to about 90 degrees there, maybe slightly less than 90. It's perfectly sufficient. The wrist is on a swivel. His head is actually only on a swivel back and forth, but due to the transformation, it's actually on a hinge, so you can get a little up and down out of it too, which is really nice. Makes Megatron definitely look very mean on the shelf. He does have an upper chest swivel. Due to transformation, there's no waist swivel. His legs are a little bit hindered by these back flaps, but you can kind of position them how you want. If you don't care about them sticking out the back a little bit, you can flip them back. They're even just on ball joints, you could just take them off if you so chose. And by doing that, you do get a nice range of motion out of the foot, or leg, all the way back, all the way forward. You got an upper thigh swivel. You've got a very tough knee. And that's about as far back as I can get it to go. I'm not sure if it goes any further than that. I certainly am not going to test it. So, yeah, very, very flexible if you want your Megatron doing splits. The way his feet work is a ball joint at the bottom, which lets you get all kinds of rotation and, you know, forward, back, based on the transformation. Which is one thing I'm not going to show him from his alt mode back to his robot mode, so I just kind of want to show something that I think is easily missed. So you can see when you transform the feet, if you just flip them out, one foot sticks back but it is designed with like a slot in the front to actually allow you to pull him forward more so his feet stick out more. I had it a couple times where I just kind of had his feet like this and I'm like, man, his feet look kind of strange, but there is a lot more that you can pull them out. So yeah, this guy is just awesome. I really like this toy and I definitely recommend him. But I know what you're thinking. What are his size comparisons? Well, here he is next to my modified wingless Megatron from United. Yeah, you can see he's taller than that Voyager Megatron. And man, does his aesthetic just look a lot nicer. If you're a G1, if you like an updated Megatron, this guy's perfectly normal. It's also for sale. I don't really feel the need, I need him and my Henkei. So I'm probably going to sell this one off. Let's see, for the other size comparison that really matters, Optimus Prime. And he is much bigger than Optimus Prime now. It makes Optimus look kind of dinky. I don't mind so much. I don't mind Megatron being bigger than Optimus, but Toy World also has mentioned that TW-02 is going to be an IDW styled Optimus Prime. So I look forward to seeing that because I do really like this toy. I would absolutely pick it up. So yeah, he's pretty big. Now let's talk about his accessories real quick. Inside the box you got this. This extended barrel doesn't interact with his robot mode at all. But what does interact with it, sort of, the stock of the gun, which I'm not a big fan of, actually works as just a mount to hold his various weapons. You do get the Energon type sword, and let me bring this light back down again here. You can see that it is a transparent sword, so when it catches the light it does look pretty darn cool. And as you would expect any sword to, it will peg into his hands. Nothing fancy about that. I believe there was one episode of Generation 1 that Megatron used the sword. I can't remember for sure, but the original Megatron toy came with a sword. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Alternatively, I suppose if you wanted, you could remove the handle and he could kind of hold it funny, but that's okay. And this is a standard weapon size, the ones that'll fit, you know, any Megatron if you wanted to give the sword. The only person that won't fit is Rodimus with his very strange fist hole sizes. You also get his flail, which has a nice real chain. I could actually hit Megatron with it if I so chose. Again, made out of that clear plastic. Now to put this on, what you have to do is take his fist and rotate it upside down. You might be able to leave it straight up, but I found that this is the easiest way. Rotate it, and you're just going to peg it on to the bottom side of his fist. And there you go, now he's got his flail. And that's pretty cool. Except usually when I have some kind of chained weapon, I like to have them holding it in one hand. The actual chain of it in one hand. That's how I display my one fans project Insecticon, with him kind of holding it up. But still, a neat little accessory to add on. I would assume that when the TW-02 Prime comes, we're going to see the blades, so we can, or the axe I should say, so we can reenact that little scene of Megatron and Optimus fighting from More Than Meets the Eye. And then you're just left with the base, which that was its only interaction, is to hold his accessories. So let's get this guy to his alternate mode. But I actually had to stop the video for a second, and I was incorrect. He does have a hip swivel here. It's not very effective just due to this back kibble. If you can get it out of the way, you can get a little more. But he does have some. It is a little awkward though. Now, the trigger also can be removed, just like the fusion cannon and the back piece. I don't really like having these on when I'm doing the transformation because they're just extra pieces to get in the way. So I usually take them off. I can leave the trigger just because that helps me see where, if I'm going in the right direction here. So let's just start. We'll just do the easy stuff first. we'll flip his fists on in. We'll take his head, open this compartment, flip it, and close it on up. Now, what you gotta do here is take one of these, his left side, and just rotate these panels on in, and just leave them for now. We're gonna have to position them later, but I find that it's just best not to do anything with them now except position them. So let's go on to the feet. We curl his toes on in here, and then you'll see on the back, perfect position for it to fold on in. Now you're going to take his legs, rotate them out like this, and push them up. They don't go any further up. There's no click or anything. I took it apart to find out. So you just push them up as far as they can go. And then just peg them on together to make the grip. And again, just leave these little panels here out of the way. So now that you have that, what we're going to do is we're going to unpeg this arm here. All it is a peg and a hole. And then once you have that unpegged, you can push that in. You can push it in before it's unpegged. But once we have this, we just kind of rotate this down and just kind of move that black joint piece and then swivel this accordingly until you've got the one half of the gun. Now we're going to come on to the other side, but first let's take this trigger and just rotate it out of the way. And we can take this side and unpeg it from this piece here, and then this part always tends to give me just a little bit of trouble. This assembly has to rotate on in like that, so that's always the part that messes me up, because you're trying to get it in and you just swivel with the arm, but you can see pretty much only fits one way. It's that piece is carved out there for a reason, and you can take that and push it in. Now what you're gonna do here is just take his whole torso and spin it around, and you'll see that that reveals a little black channel here. What you're gonna do is carefully, and you may have to unpeg this just to make it easier. In fact, it'll make it a lot easier. Unpeg it, swivel it past this arm assembly, and then once that's free, you can take the whole arm and slide it on up and into place. And that's your mechanism for getting one arm from one side of him to the other. And that is a pretty cool piece of engineering. Hold on. Blasted telemarketers. Okay, so once you have this like that, you can now take this assembly and rotate it back the way you had it. Now what we're going to do is take this trigger and kind of flip it around. You're going to see there's a little clearing on this side here that's going to accommodate this track piece. That's how you know you've done it correctly. And we can take this and just kind of flip the trigger around like that for now. Actually, take this out of the way and then flip the trigger around for now. Now then take this front piece and flip it forward. Now what you have to do is grip on the sides of his chest here and just push it back, and that little peg should have gone into that little clearing that we were just talking about. So once we get that, you can flip this around, and now we might as well start working with these panels here. You can see he's pretty much he's pretty much together. It's just a matter of kind of straightening everything out. So what we're gonna do is just take this trigger, there we go, leave it just like that. So now what we can do is take these panels and start unfolding them, and you can see that they'll come around. There's a little peg hole here, a tab there, and you'll just kind of flip this down and down, and your top should peg in, and then your bottom should kind of peg to the legs. I never find that this connection is very good. Again, we'll flip this around unfold everything. No tab at the top, instead it's at the bottom. Take it, tab the bottom piece on in, and in the process we've untabbed our other side, which always seems to happen. And then it's just a matter of getting all these pieces to fit with the top of the gun. There's a whole bunch of little pegs up there that are gonna hold everything tight, and big one in the back. Once you have that, you can kind of fold everything on in. And it's not, like I said, it's not perfect for the handle here. I feel like it should be, but it doesn't telescope down any more than this, so it is going to be a little bit uneven. So once you have that, you can take your trigger, finish rotating it around, and there's 2 pegs and 2 holes. You'll want to peg it there, and then there's one in the actual grip down here. And so now you have that all together, and these little panels are going to come out pretty frequently. So now that we have this, we pretty much have a gun. We can now just take this, and we know that it looked upwards like this. So you're going to rotate it and rotate it on around, so it's looking like that, and then just kind of plug it in. And now you got the front, and there you go. You actually have a gun without a sight. And if you want to put the sight on, you plug this one back in, then you flip the scope around, rotate everything up. You see the 2 little pieces on the top, and there you go. You have a Megatron gun, and it's really not that scary. It's hard to do on camera, but once you've done it a couple of times, it's actually really easy. You do have a trigger that moves. It is on a spring. It doesn't make any clicks or anything like that. And now we can get to some of his other accessories. So this is like the stock that Megatron had. Unfortunately, as far as I can see, you can't put it properly, but you can open it up and unfold it like this. And then what it actually does is it pegs into the front and the back bottom. Usually there's one you have to do first and the other is a little easier. And once it's in like that, actually makes a good stand for Megatron when he's in his gun mode. Now the real stock should have been, I guess, attachable kind of like this, with the things making a C like that, but there is just no way you can do that. So let me put that here, and I will pull out some other Megatrons for comparison. Here is our Generation 1 Megatron. So you can see just the size difference between the 2 of them. And then here is your Classics style Megatron. And you can see that roughly the guns are about the same size. There's a much thicker gun here that's much more realistic. So the only thing really left to show, and it's unfortunately too heavy for this base, so you usually have to pile something on top. We're going to use NK Megatron there. And you have the extended barrel. You pull off this cone piece and you split it in half. Now when you look at this, you're going to see there is one piece has a little hole in it, and that is to actually accommodate the tip of his barrel there. You can see it sticking through. And this lets you clip this together like that. And then you're just going to take your cone piece, or your flash suppressor, I suppose it would be, and put that on. And there you go. Now you've got a very, very big Megatron gun. So, and guess what? It doesn't work if you leave the orange cap on. There's no way you can put that together with the orange cap. At least I hope I'm not lying. I'm gonna check that. Anyway, this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next week. And you'll be happy to know I was not lying. You cannot fit this on with this cap. So Toy World absolutely never intended the cap to be on past its shipping. See you next time, guys. blasted, telemark.